Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Not much.
How are you?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Doing good. I'm John. Nice to meet you.
I'm Frank.
I am somebody who plays this game too much. I'm here to help.
This is Virge. He is a YouTuber with mostly Rocket League tutorials, a coach over on GamersRdy, an ex-coach for RLCS and RRS teams Allegiance. He also has a semi-active Twitch channel. You may recognize Virge if you are a subscriber to Sunless Khan, as he was in his Allegiance Academy episodes, and also on his Guess Those Ranked episodes. Virge is more for 2v2, 3v3 rotational help, and that's where I hope to get the most knowledge from him. So without further ado, I'm sorry, Ranny, I'm seeing other coaches, but here is the session.
All right. First thing we're going to start with, and this is what everybody always tells me, they love this part so much, is we're going to 1v1.
But what I want to do first is just do a 1v1 game together.
Might be less shocked from it because I had the 1v1 Ranny like twice. So.
Okay, all right. Subtle flex, relax.
I did not win. He was my coach.
Well, how do you? You know, against Ranny. So you've had coaching with Ranny.
Yeah, for 1v1s.
Yeah, I mean that's what I think that's what he's focusing on with his coaching.
Yeah. So from him, I've gotten a lot better. I feel at ball control and like car control and stuff like that. And now my rotation's completely out of.
Okay.
whack.
Yeah, this game is a constant battle of like practicing one extreme to the next. Spend so much time building good habits in a certain area that you leave other habits behind in other areas, and you have to go back and relearn them. Florida man, okay. So I was in Daytona Beach for 7 years.
Oh, cool. I'm north of that, up in Charlotte.
Okay, I don't think I've ever been to Charlotte. And so what rank do you sit at most consistently? I know we went over this briefly on the emails.
In threes, I'm consistently at champ. Threes consistently at champ. Twos kind of jump back between diamond 3 and champ 1, and ones I fluctuate all the diamonds.
Okay.
Depends on the day.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I can relate heavily. My ones likes to fluctuate a lot too. I mean, I've fluctuated, this was like maybe a few months ago, but I've fluctuated from Grand Champ all the way down to like Champ 2 Div 1 and back, you know what I mean? Ones is definitely really tough. I don't know how Ranny does it. But this for me, I'm not too much focused on your ones. I mean, I think you should play more ones, don't get me wrong. I always suggest that people should play more ones. But this is more of a feeler for me so that I can kind of get a feel for where you're comfortable, where you start to fall behind, what you're capable of, what you're not, and so on. Nice. He is a very stubborn dog. He does what he wants.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Free flip gang here.
Oh yeah. See the club? PFG. So any mistake that you're ever going to make here, I don't want you to be embarrassed about. Just know any mistake that you're literally ever going to make in your Rocket League career, I've made that mistake a million times over.
Oh yeah, I'm not one of those people that are going to take your constructive criticism personally.
I get people who are like, I'm not playing my best. I could be playing better right now. I'm like, look, don't stress about it. This is not like this is part of the session, yes, but this is like the least valuable part of the session.
To me, the way I view it, if I had consistency, I wouldn't need the coaching.
It's a good way to look at it. I really like not getting boosts. I like making things hard for myself.
How can I demo you?
You demoed yourself there. Nice. Way to be on it.
Nope.
Okay, free flip gang. I saw that. There's very few like twos tournaments, and there's not really. I mean, there's a ones scene, but there's not really like a ones professional scene.
Please tell me you got a flip reset there, and I didn't just misread that.
I got a flip reset off the ceiling. I didn't really get one off the wall.
I thought you jumped off the ceiling there. You
No,
waved
so
dash on the ceiling.
Yeah, I wave dash on the ceiling so I'd fall off a little bit quicker. Oh, a little scoop the under over. yeah, so I grew up playing threes, and so like all my skill came from like game sense and like knowledge of the game, and not so much mechanical. Like I could do stuff, but not consistently. But I've been recently playing ones, and I got GC for the first time in ones last season. So I'm feeling progress with my mechanics, but I'm like all game sense.
I feel like in ones I'm where I belong at the moment. Till I get my, I think I have the mechanics to be higher. I just don't have the decision making down completely. It's gotten a lot better since I've been grinding it, which comes with time, but just not there yet.
Save that replay, and this is not something you need me for, so I don't want to waste our time doing this together. I want to make sure we're using our time efficiently. Go back and watch this from my perspective sometime, and just look at yourself as an opponent. What do you look like as an opponent to me? What are some things that you're doing that I'm like, okay, well, this is an easy shot, or I have to prepare for a shot here. Where do I position when I think you're going to shoot? Where am I shadowing? How close am I staying? Right? Just look at yourself as an opponent and try to point out the things that you would like to see your opponents do, because it makes it easier for you. That's one way you can kind of start picking out, like, what can I do differently? Just do things that when you see yourself doing something that you're like, oh, what is my opponent doing? Oh, wait, that's me. Okay, let me figure out how not to do that. All right, I'm gonna get these replays that you just sent me. Virge replays ?
Because I wasn't sure if you would be able to download them all from a folder.
Do you have a preference on any of these specifically?
Not really. Some of them I win, some of them I lose. I figured regardless, I would have something I can work on.
Perfect. Yeah, as long as the replays are recent and they're competitive, where you're trying your hardest, then we're gonna learn some stuff. So this one's for sure you. So we'll jump into this one for now. So is this your normal card? Do you usually use the?
Don't call me out on that, but that's my normal 1v1 card. But I switch between Octane, that, and Dominus. I find I think it was the Manfield 5K when Cookster used it. I started using it as an Octane replacement because of how flat the top is. And
yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. As long as I don't care what kind of card people use, as long as you're consistent with the cards you use. The most important thing is that you know your hitbox, that you can feel your hitbox rather, because it has to get to the point where you're so used to the car that instead of thinking about where do I need to hit this ball to get this, it has to be, okay, how do I get my car to this position, because I know how I need to hit it. So as long as you kind of feel your hitbox on the car you're using a good car. And this one looks sweet.
Yeah, that's a good looking card.
So right here, you're in a good position shadowing. You're making sure that you've got distance to cover his further shot. However, right there, when you stay wide right here, when he's lining up his shot, that's why he gets a shot upper 90. It's because instead of you doing this, we did this, and it added just enough space for him to take a shot without us being able to get there in time. That was the difference. It doesn't go in, so it's fortunate for us. But had this guy either been a better player or had a better, day right here, this was going in. You know what I mean? There's no way, if it was on target, there's no way we save it. And so we have to make sure that right here, we're thinking about what's his furthest possible shot. Well, his furthest possible shot is top corner, opposite side from me. Am I in a position to where if he shoots it there, I can save it? We have to respect all of our opponent's options. Nice. It's a good pop.
Open your eyes.
That was a good recovery. Your teammate didn't trust you, though, which sucks, because you did really well there. Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. This is fine. Right here, this is where you just want to be more patient than him. This is what I call small ball. Small ball is where you guys are in a position to where if either of you hits it, it's probably going to result in a 50-50, and you just want to be the person who wins the 50. And so what you want to try and do here, because he's in such an awkward spot on the wall, you can get closer, but instead of rushing in and getting closer, just inch your way in. Because at any moment, if he decides to come down, you full boost into the ball. If he decides to stay there, well, you can just keep inching closer until you get close enough to push it through him. There's just basically, from this position on the wall, he can only really pop this ball or let it fall. And if we approach slowly and he pops it, we can react. If we approach slowly and he lets it drop, well, now we're just 50-50ing him. when we rush in like this, oh, maybe we don't. Why do I think you rushed in here? Okay, so it's not that you rush in, but it's rather that you, right? It was that you close the distance wide instead of closing it inside. You're gonna make sure you're getting on the other side of his challenge here, because I knew this felt funky right here. We just got to make sure that we're staying in a better position. We're being more patient here, because what can he do here that's a threat on our net? From this position, not really anything. And so let's just let him stay in this position, because the longer he stays here, the better position I can get. He can stay in that crappy position and I'll get into a better spot. So we don't want to let him get this touch right here and then us hit it back to him. We want to, this is where if we were a little bit further back or a little bit more on the inside here, we could have just clean hit this over him. Ooh, that sucks. That's a goal now. It's really important, especially in twos. Threes, not so much, but in twos, it's really, really important that when you challenge, you're at the very least trading your body for an opponent's body. It has to be at the very least a 1-for-1 trade. If you ever do a 1-for-0, you're leaving your teammate in a 2v1. Makes it much harder. So you have to pick your challenges, be picky with them. Nice recovery. We don't want to have to do this really big rotation, boost to slow down.
No, that was I was worried that he was going to get a 50, and then I went full safety. I wanted to hit it with the biggest part of my car because I knew there was no one in net. But yeah, it was a very sloppy goal. Okay. Not confident goal. How about that?
So the only thing that I'm worried about here, that the reason that I'm worried that you're taking so long, is that this guy right here, sure, he's going this way, but he's got momentum. If he's a good player, and for me, this is instinct, is that he's going to land and keep that momentum very well. Mm-hmm. And that I have to shoot this quick, or he might come in and demo me or hit the ball from behind me. And so he has plenty of time by now to possibly be here intercepting this from you. So you want to score this here, rather than here.
Yeah.
Where does he go? That's my question. Does he just dips out?
Too cold cam.
Okay, he goes all the way to middle. And this is why you don't want to do this. As soon as he lands here, a better player is going to land in a way that they can keep that momentum and swing it back. But he just kills it all and goes for boost.
And he has 55.
Yeah, he's got plenty. He does not need that. When you're going for boost off the kickoff, you want to obviously be back into the play as quick as possible. The quicker you're back into the play, the quicker you can commit, the more likely you are to beat somebody. The better position you're in, the faster you get back to position. That being said, this is not a big thing, but this is one of those things that can knock a second off of your movement every time you do it. And if you do it 10, 15, 20 times in a game, all of a sudden you've just added 20 extra seconds to your involvement in the play. And that's really what this game is about at the level you're starting to play at. It's not so much about, can you perform this mechanic? It's more so about, can you perform this mechanic in this specific way in this situation, right? And so, can I perform this mechanic in a split second? Can I perform this mechanic, after I fake it, right? So all these little things is what's starting to happen, or is starting to be the difference between you and the next level as you get to this position and around champion, in the champion area. It's going to be those 1 second things that's the difference between you getting to a ball and getting a free shot on net or getting challenged on that shot. So right here, the thing that I'm talking about is right about here. You've got momentum, you've got some speed. If you just do a side flip right here, what you're going to do is you're going to stay on this path, but that side flip's just going to pull you over. And all of a sudden, your path looks like this. And you can boost throughout the entire flip, because the entire time, if it's a side flip, your boost is still pointing this way. And so if you do it and time it right, you should land about right here. Mm-hmm. And then you can be turning into this early and drifting through it, getting here about a second earlier, so that by the time you've turned up field, now the ball is leaving between them and you can react to which way it goes.
I never thought about it for getting the back
being here, having to full turn around, right? It's just, this gives us a better, angle to adapt to anything. And it's always better to be ready sooner anyway. This needs to be a shot on net. Net's open. Both of them commit for that. And so right here, do you turn ball camera off very often to take shots, to line shots up?
Only mainly when dribbling, I'll turn it off.
Okay. So you do have to get used to this because this is what allows you to set up these precise hits under pressure. It's really easy to mess this up with ball camera on because you might be so frantic, like, where's the net? Where's my opponent? Let me get my eye back on the ball. Do I have a teammate up here that maybe if I miss it, he can score it? Right here, your eyes should just be on the ball, full focused on it. Where do I need to make contact to hit this straight? And one thing that helps us to do that is right here, turning ball camera off so that we can solely focus on where the ball is in relation to our straight line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good patience. It's kind of hard to tell if your teammate was going to go again or not. Seems like he doesn't quite know. Yeah, so we get stuck in an awkward spot here, kind of sideways.
Because I thought that was going to be a 50 going across. I thought Boop was going to make some type of contact there.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So I totally get that. We think this is going to be a 50-50. However, this 50-50 has the possibility of going this way, as well as going this way. It's more likely that it's going to go this way. But again, we always have to respect all of the options, and this is one of them. And if we turn in here and he gets it this way, now he's behind us. We turn to shadow, he cuts it behind us again. We turn to shadow, he cuts it behind us again. And so we have to stay in a position here to where all of his options are covered. So if he hits it here, we turn and challenge. If he hits it this way, turn and challenge. But as soon as we put ourselves in a position where we're committing to one side, before it's happened, that's when we find ourselves in these awkward spots that it's like, oh, I don't even know what to do with this. I'm at such a weird angle. Let me just touch it to touch it. Good try on the follow-up. We used all of our boosts there. Luckily, that one's there, but right here, this happens. We should just go across here and start boosting to pick up, this path. We want to give our teammate room to move forward into this challenge. Because as this guy pushes the ball this way, if we're chasing behind it and he gets past our teammate, well, then he's just got a free net. But if we come out here, now all of a sudden he's coming to us and we're cutting him off. Does that make sense?
Yeah, back post.
Right, so this is really important. I know that there's a lot of controversy when it comes to rotating to back post. And let me clarify when you should and shouldn't. If you have a teammate covering near post, you should rotate to back post. If you do not have a teammate covering near post, that's when you should cut rotation and go straight with the play, because now you're trying to cover that near post shot. But if there is somebody back, you give them the space to move forward into it. If there's nobody back, you're the first man to challenge it. You have to go.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
And
then
so
that's
now,
what happens.
right, not only that, we also took this corner boost, so he's not going to get it when he's about to go make a play on the ball. We could have been here with maybe 40 boost, and he'd have been here with 100. So now our team has 140 collectively. But because we took this, now our team has 100 collectively. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You had a good opportunity. You had time and space to collect boost. Your teammate didn't. And so it's only fair that you take the time that you're given to collect it, so that when a big boost comes up, you guys don't have time to go get boost. You can give it to your teammate. Nice, really good positioning.
I thought it was like along the wall.
Yeah, so this is just something we have to be able to recognize comes off the wall right here in this moment, and just hit the brakes. As soon as it's off the wall like this and nobody's challenging you, just hit the brakes and reassess. Let the ball fall, catch it for a dribble. We don't have to commit to jumping off the wall here just because we went up it. So use some boost to get back to the wall. It's good, but we don't use enough. I think we should use boost until we land on the wall. The faster we get on the wall, the faster we can recover. So if we use 40 boost here, it's going to make up for, time that we would have to use the 40 boost possibly getting back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the quicker we get on the wall, the more efficiently we can move. So it's okay to sacrifice a little bit of extra boost here to make sure we get on the wall that much faster. So I'm assuming your attempt here was to throw the ball right on net with the flick.
On net or above the net. I was hoping to either get it underneath it so I can do a side flick.
But basically, yeah, the goal here was lift, right?
Yeah.
On this ball. Okay. So when we're going for this side flip flick, look where the ball is, and look where we're gonna jump. That first jump is gonna set the ball up to flick it or not. And so if we're jumping right here, and the ball's over here, we're only really gonna clip this part of it, and it's gonna push it away from us. So we wanna make sure this ball's a little bit further on top of our car so that when we jump up with it, we're jumping with it and kind of pushing it above us to the side, not just to the side. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. It's right there and we jump, we go up, and then we side flip, but we're so far to the side of it that this is the part of your car that throws the ball. The ball essentially has to roll up the side of your car here. And so we want to make sure that we're underneath it when we're going for this. And so the trick to that is right here, we did well to get around this. We get a catch. Now right here, we should leave ball camera on until we've settled the ball. So right here, we should touch this and leave ball camera on so that we can continue keeping our eye on the ball, line our car up with the ball so that we can dribble and settle the ball. Then we turn ball camera off to line up our flick. If we leave ball camera on, it's going to allow us to line up right here a lot easier than when ball camera is off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Another thing that you want to make sure you're doing when you're flicking is this side flip flick. It's really important that you do a perfect side flip. I think you do a little bit of a diagonal in there. And so what ends up happening is when you do this flip, your nose is going to dip away from the ball. We want our nose to stay level, like this, not this, so that when we do that side flip, that corner of our car comes perfectly over the top. That's what's going to scoop this. But as soon as we do this diagonal, now it's, even if we make contact, it's going to be a low shot. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was probably folding forward before I flipped.
Right, and that's the trick to it, is you have to make sure that when you're jumping here, you're jumping in a neutral position, and you play on controller, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so a neutral position would be your joystick sitting in the center. So that when you jump, your car doesn't have any directional input. It stays in place, just goes up a little bit. A lot of your flicks are going to have to come from a neutral position. And what I mean when I say that is you have to make sure that, even like, let's say there's a moment, 45-degree flicks, right?
Yeah.
You have to turn before you can flip.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have to, on those, jump and turn in the same motion. You can't neutral jump, then start your turn. But with those, you have to make your turn and then go neutral and then flick the direction that you're going to flip. So that neutral stick positioning is a muscle memory thing that you really have to get down because it shows up in so many places. Right here, we are just a little bit lazy. We could have boosted through this turn and got to this. When I say lazy, I don't mean to insult you in any way. But what I mean is that we're not going as fast as we could be. That's, for me, that's what translates to lazy in this game. You're not going as quickly as you could be here. And it's because you think, I don't have to go as fast as I need to here. I can be lazy and still make this save. And so we just get beat to it. That 5 boost was the difference. If we started boosting 5 boost earlier, we probably would have made it here. Another thing that you do here is you take your line on line with the ball rather than on line with his shot. Your main threat here is his shot. And so what you should be doing when you jump here is jumping to just get behind the ball. Because he's going to hit it first, we want to cut off his most threatening angle on net. The most threatening angle is always going to be the near post. And so see how we're leaving this big gap right here?
Mm-hmm.
We want to make sure we're kind of swinging in a little bit closer to the post, coming from behind the ball. You always want to cover the most threatening shot because that's the one that you have the least amount of time to react to. If you come in and he tries to shoot this far post, he's going to have to wait a little bit longer to take his shot. That's a little bit more time. You can close the distance and block it. If he takes this shot, you have to be there right away making the save. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So you always want to prioritize that near post shot over everything. So right here, this is something that a lot of people, and this is something that I struggled with for a long time, is that right here, it's okay to be feathering your boost through this turn. You don't have to save all your boost to move straight with it. And so honestly, just use like maybe 3 taps of your boost here just to maintain your speed on this turn so that you're not slowing down while you turn. But then you're not also using all your boost. You're saving some for the straightaway, but you don't have to use a bunch of it on your acceleration. Rather, you can keep that acceleration and then use less to speed up with. Make sense?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, we'll take that. I know I sound like a broken record sometimes. A lot of the stuff in this game is about the fundamentals, the very small things you have to be very consistent with. If there is anything that you feel like I'm beating a dead horse with, feel free to stop me and say, hey, look, I get it. We can move on to the next topic. Because again, I want to make this session as efficient as I can for you. I want to get through as many topics as I can in our time. Don't be so basically this is your time. Don't be afraid to stop me on anything or ask questions at any moment.
It's also kind of interesting watching it not while playing it. I try to watch some replays, but I don't watch enough.
So watching your own replays is a big way to improve, because in the game you have half a second, milliseconds to make your decisions. When you're sitting back watching, I can pause this and sit here and go, I have 10 different options here. I can think of them all, right? And so when you come in here and you look at those options in hindsight, then when it comes time for this situation in another game, you're going to remember back to that hindsight moment and go, well, wait, last time I did this, I remembered I had 10 options. And so now I can think ahead and know I'm going to have those 10 options. So you definitely have to be able to watch your replays if you're looking to improve, because it's one of the best ways to do it. You don't have to be, super smart. I'm not saying you're not smart, but you don't have to be a coach with professional experience to review your own replays and improve from it.
Right.
A lot of people are afraid to, because they're like, well, if I knew what to fix, I wouldn't be the rank I'm at. And it's like, well, have you even tried watching your replays? No. Well, how are you going to know if you can find stuff? I promise you that you will. So here, in 2v2s, one person should always be applying pressure. This is a golden rule for really every game mode. One person should always be applying pressure. In ones, you're the only person, so you should always be applying pressure. In twos, there's 2 people. And so when one person is not applying pressure, the other person should be. Not to say that you were the one who is supposed to be challenging here, but as soon as you see your teammate not challenging, even though he's supposed to, he's not. If he's not, you are. Okay? Make sense?
Right. Yeah.
So if you feel like he should be going for it, but he's not, instead of sitting there and waiting, maybe he's going to go, maybe he's going to go, maybe he's going to go, you go. You don't want to wait and give them time to set something up. As soon as a player at the level that I play at has time or space to set something up, they create a threatening shot. And that threatening shot is an opportunity that if somebody was applying pressure, that opportunity would have never happened. If we give the opportunity, it's a possibility. If we eliminate the opportunity, there was never a chance. So your main focus in twos rotation should always be, how can we be applying pressure to our opponents if we're on defense? If we don't have possession, where can I be on the field that makes it harder for my opponent to set something up or makes them feel rushed? Yeah, right here, not much you can do except for do something differently here. Right here, you just have to recognize that he kind of overshoots this ball to the side, right here. Okay, this is going to bounce behind him. All I have to do is worry about not getting hit by him, and I have a free possession. And so right here, if you just kind of hit the brakes, he's going to fly by you. Let's drive off with this. And this is one of those moments where it's kind of hard to tell, and so I don't blame you for rushing here, because your eyes are probably here, right? Looking at the ball. You don't know exactly where he is. In your peripheral, this looks just like this. You know what I mean? So I totally get it. When you're going for a touch on a ball, let's just say he didn't exist here. When you're going for a touch on the ball that's free, so he's not here, this is free, we've got all the time in the world. You always want to think about possession. How can I keep possession not only for myself individually, but how can I keep possession for my team? So there is this one question that you want to ask yourself that should cover these 3 topics, and you want to prioritize them in order that I'm going to tell you them first to third. So basically, if you have more than one option, you want to go with the one that is higher priority. And so if you answer this question and any one of those high priority ones, let's say the first one is a yes, you can do it. Don't even think about the next 2. Just go with the first one. Because again, you want to prioritize them in this order. So the first thing you want to think about when you have a free touch and you're trying to keep possession is, can I shoot this ball in a way that is likely to score? The reason that this is your first priority is because you do not get the opportunity to score very often. It's difficult to set yourself up in a position to score where you feel confident in scoring something. Just because players are so good, they're defending the net. They're not going to give you that opportunity. So when you get it, you take it. If somebody's like, oh, you should have passed it, if you felt like you could have scored it, it's a good shot. We don't want to take a shot that's not likely to score, because as soon as we do that, it's no longer a shot. It's more of just passing the ball to our opponents, and they happen to be sitting in front of their net. So we're just giving possession up. If we're taking a shot, we want it to be a shot that's either A, going to go in, or B, make somebody work really hard to save it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. In this instance, we are so far from the net. We don't have an angle. Even if we somehow got a shot, by the time it gets there, somebody's going to be there saving it. So we cannot shoot this. We move on to the next one. Do you know what a first touch is? It's a soccer term.
I know the Rocket League term. Pretty much a first touch, if you can set it up so it's light. You try, like, if let's say he was farther back and I touched it on the ground to bounce it off to the wall a little bit, it might get it past him with minimal effort and then set me up for the next hit.
You absolutely have the right idea. So the first touch and the Rocket League, soccer first touch and Rocket League first touch are the same thing. It just derives from soccer. Rocket League's a soccer game. So first touch is just like you said. It doesn't matter what kind of touch it is, as long as you can be the next person to follow it. So first touch can be anything from you catching it to dribble to you popping it way up high to start an air dribble or a double touch or something. As long as you can get to the next hit, it's a good first touch. The reason a first touch is second is because a first touch resets your options. A first touch will generally put you in a position where you can ask yourself again, okay, well, now can I shoot this? Right? Because you're putting that first touch into a spot that you can control. So you can control that situation and go, okay, well, can I shoot this? No. Okay, well, can I first touch it again? Right? If the answer to the question for the first touch is a no, that's when you as an individual are unable to keep possession. And so you have to find somebody on your team who can do one of these three touches. So if you can't shoot it, can't first touch it, find somebody on your team who can. And this doesn't mean that you have to pass it right to them. Sometimes it's passing it into space that you know they'll reach it first. But basically, these are your main possession touches. Anytime you're trying to keep possession, which should be most of the game, honestly, you should be trying to think about doing one of these three things. And again, it has to be a question you ask yourself all in one. You have to say, okay, what can I do with this? Can I shoot it? No. Can I first touch it? No. Can I pass it? Yes. Right? Or can I shoot it? Yes. Okay, I'm just going to shoot it. As soon as you get to a yes in this order, take that yes. The reason a first touch is before a pass, a lot of people ask me, well, if I have space for a first touch, but I also have a teammate open for a pass, why don't I pass it? Isn't passing good? The answer to that is yes, passing is good, but you don't want to make a pass that doesn't pull somebody out of the play, because that's an inefficient pass. The objective of a pass is not to just reposition the ball on the field. The objective of a pass should be to pull somebody on the opponent's side of the field out of the play. So if you have space for a first touch and a pass, it usually means that nobody's challenging you. If nobody's challenging and you make a pass, more often than not, something like this happens. You're here, let's say your teammate's here, both the opponents are here, right? Nobody's challenging you, and you make this pass. Well, you just committed to this pass, you flipped, you're gonna have to recover and land and get back on your wheels. While you're doing that, your teammate's now in the exact same position that you were in. This pass, all it did was move the ball from here to here. He still has to beat two defenders just like you did. And so this really all it does is repositions the ball on the field and pulls you out of the play for making the pass. But if you make a first touch here instead, this guy's gonna be worried about you shooting it. He's like, okay, well, I have to challenge him now. All of a sudden you make this pass and now you're trading a body for a body. You're putting your teammate in a better situation than you were in. He's in a 1v1, you were in a 1v2. Does that make sense?
Right, and a lot of times if you get a good first touch, it forces one of them to react.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why you want to take a first touch over a pass if you have the space. Because if you make a pass and there's space, honestly, more often than not, the ball doesn't even make it to your teammate because this guy's intercepting your pass, waiting for you to pass it. Because he's sitting there thinking, okay, well, I see his teammate over here. I'm not challenging him, and I see him going around the ball. He's going to pass it. I'm going to intercept that. So force him to come to you and make that pass. Let that pass pull somebody out of the play. That's not to say that a big clear up field on a breakaway isn't a good pass because nobody's challenging you. If you're here, both your opponents are here rotating back, you've got a teammate up here right next to the opponent's net, and you pass it to him, you pulled these players out of the play with that pass. Make sense?
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be when you're being challenged. A good pass is just one that pulls opponents out of the play, because that's how you make it efficient. Because when you make that pass, you're more than likely going to be throwing yourself out of the play for at least a second or two. So you want to make sure you're trading. There is a fourth option that we want to try and avoid if we can, but sometimes it's necessary, and this is a clear. About 90% of the time, a clear is going to give up possession. That's why we want to avoid it. So go for it if you have to, but try to make sure that none of these three options are available before you do. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. That being said, right here, our best option is a first touch because we have tons of space. Make this guy move in and challenge us and then beat him rather than throw. He takes it for free. Which, again, I totally get this situation. We're probably looking at the ball there. We're more worried about him beating us than we are about getting a free touch. But you do want to try and be as aware of that kind of stuff as you can, because as soon as we give possession up here, even though indirectly, right, it's your teammate's job here to make the save, he would have never had to have made the save if you took control there. So that's one thing you can do in your replays. If you ever get scored on at all, go back in the replay before the goal until you find a moment that you could have changed the timeline. Does that make sense?
It does, because I remember that from like years ago, from a Squishy video, because that's why he never was talking.
Close to ourselves. Nice. This was a little bit scary. Scared me on this one. Thought you were gonna get beat here.
I was scared at the same time, so it was fine.
The most important part of an aerial is the takeoff. If you take off poorly, the rest of your aerial is doomed. And that doesn't mean you can't get the hit, but it means that you're going to be extremely inefficient because you're going to be wasting boost on correcting rather than using boost on momentum or speed or power. And it's going to cost you a lot more boost to get the same speed as it would if you took off properly. So the issue here, the reason that this is so scary for us, is because we take off with momentum this way, and the ball's right here. And so we're going to have to turn our car this way and boost just to get a path that looks like this. And so this path is a lot longer, and it takes up a lot more boost than this path.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the way that we get this path is by turning on the ground first. When you're on the ground, you have traction. You have a force that affects your turning. In the air, you do not. The only thing you have in the air is your boost, and essentially your boost is momentum. And so you can use your momentum to try and shift your momentum, but you're never going to be able to do this in the air, right? So you always want to make that turn before you take off, if you have the time to. Which in this scenario, I think you do. I think you have the time to line this
if
up.
I was better at reading that first bounce, if I jumped then and
right
actually
here, yeah,
the right way, it would have been uncontested too. But I hesitated because I didn't know if it was going to roll down or if it was going to bounce up from there.
Okay. And we do really well to get back to it, but this guy, again, better players are going to kill you on this. They're not going to let you get it past him here. I mean, I think if he touched that, it might have possibly been a shot on net. That was really good. Good cut.
Should have went down the booth pass instead of going to the 100.
Yeah, so I was just saying thinking the same thing. Basically, the way that you keep yourself from doing this is you have to ask yourself, is this path going to take me away from the direction the ball is going? Right now, the ball is going this way. And so if I go this way, I'm creating more distance between me and the play. So which way can I go that I won't be creating more distance? Okay, well, obviously this way. Is there boost on the way there? Yes, there is. So I'm going to go that way. Right? The only time you should be turning for this boost is if the direction that you're supposed to be going has like absolutely zero boost. And this boost is going to make up for the time you turn for it. But right here, if we just keep moving straight, we've got momentum already. We're lined up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boosts in front of us, you know, or 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Do you know how much boost it takes to get to the ceiling?
I don't know how much gets to the ceiling, but I know mostly comfortably I can do anything with 36.
Okay, so yeah, you're actually, I mean, you're almost spot on with it. It takes 40 boosts to get to the ceiling, and so I always, literally after I say that, I always go, and so with 3 pads, 36 boosts, if you can almost get to the ceiling, you can do just about anything. So yeah, you absolutely can do just about anything with 3 pads. So if you're in a position under 10 boost, try to just grab 3 pads. If you're in a position over 10 boost, you only need 2 pads. So realistically, there should never be a moment where you can't get boost on the way to where you're going. You know, even if it's as little as 2 pads can be so helpful because you're pushing towards the ball while you're getting boost. And so those 2 pads are used on the play directly rather than using boost to get back to the play and then using boost on the play. You don't need that extra boost if you're not using it to get back to the play. You're already there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So honestly, that's more of like a mental fight than anything. You have to tell yourself that plenty of things are possible without 100 boost. It's just that 100 boost lets me get there comfortably. If you can put yourself there to begin with, you don't need all that extra boost. Nice, this is a goal. So did Ranny go over kickoffs with you?
Yes, diagonal one he gave me a pass on, but for the most part I'm supposed to be trying to keep 16 to 20 boost on every kickoff. And after the first flip, if I do it right, I shouldn't be boosting the second one.
Okay.
Diagonals are my still hardest ones to do that for.
Yeah, absolutely. So all the tips he gave you are completely right. Honestly, the 16 to 20, I think that's him being really strict on himself because he's a ones main, and the more efficient you are in ones, the better. And so for him, he needs to have as much boost as possible. For people like us who mainly focus on 2s and 3s, I think 10 to 20 is a fair range. If you can have anywhere from 10 to 20, you did a very efficient kickoff. And I agree with the fact that he said if you time it right, you shouldn't have to boost after your first flip. And so basically, you just want to get down to anywhere from 10 to 20 boost, and that's when you do the flip right here. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and waste time going over something he already covered. He knows what he's talking about with kickoffs, so I'm going to trust that he gave you the right information.
I should have gone for that with my teammate on the wall.
Yeah, so right here, even though it may feel like you have a better angle, in a situation where you're behind your teammate, you can see them and they can't see you. And so it becomes your responsibility to react to them and not them to react to you. Because if we go to his camera here, he has no idea where you are, right? He's thinking, okay, I'm the closest to this, I have to go for it. Even if you go up, he has to hear you go up, otherwise he has no idea. You, on the other hand, you see him, he's there, okay, he can go for it. Let me back up and let him go for it, and if he misses, this is just a pass to me. So it's much better to let your teammate make a mistake on their own than to dive into that mistake trying to clean up for him, making a mistake on top of their mistake. Because it's way better to stagger your mistake. If you're going to make a mistake after your teammate's recovered. Stagger your mistakes, okay?
I like the term. Yeah, stagger your mistakes.
Right, don't try to dive in and make a mistake with your teammate or clean up for his mistake on the spot. Clean up for it afterwards. Give him a moment to recover. That gives you time to move in. Then you can recover, then he can move in, and it just keeps the flow going. Basically, sorry, the rule of thumb that I keep in rotations in 2s is you want to match your teammate's rotation, but completely opposite. So if he's here and you're here, when he goes here, you go here. He's here, you're here. He's here, you're here. So it's kind of like this yin and yang. As he's coming out, you're moving in. So by the time you're making your touch, now he's behind you. By the time you've recovered and gotten back, now he's making his touch. Right? So it's this just constant flow, this
circle.
You know, right.
It's a big circle.
It's just like a circle.
Oh.
So this almost works out, but odds are 9 times out of 10 it won't. Right here, this is fine. We're in a good spot. This happens. This pop happens. Our teammate is in a position that he should not be in. I think after this, he should kind of back off. Honestly, it's not bad to be where he is, but you have to give him a pass that is clearly a pass. Otherwise, both of you guys are going to be unsure who's going for it. So the fact that you don't get a touch here that is clearly a pass to him, he should be backing off, letting you have it. You should be recognizing he's in front of you. Oh, okay, I can pass it, right? But again, it's up to you to decide what option you take. you take the control route, you want to control it yourself, he should respect that. I don't think that you're in the wrong here for going for this. Honestly, we want to jump for this a little bit sooner, and mainly because the rank I play at, again, for me, instinct is to get this hit as soon as possible, because that's instinct for the guy who's shooting it. And so the guy who's shooting is going to be here, you know, taking the shot, so we want to be here making the save if we can.
I gotta get better at our own backboard reads.
Yeah. Yeah, so right here, if we had just read this a little bit better, we could have gotten to it maybe a little bit sooner, just based on positioning, because we are low on boost from where we're at. I think you do well to get to this as soon as possible for your positioning. But I think if you read this play a little bit sooner, you could kind of be inching forward out of your net, like right here. Because realistically, if he double touches this, it's going to be so hard that it goes across, or your teammate should be in a position to clear it. I think that you're good to kind of commit to this bounce.
And one thing that might not be a big factor, I do have an ultra-wide monitor, so I have a little bit more on each side that I can see.
Okay. Yeah, so that's very true. You might, right here, see that nobody's coming in. So that's a very good point. Can you run me through what all this is?
For why I'm flipping sideways like that?
Not that you're flipping, but look at the camera.
Oh, the flicking back and forth with it?
Yeah.
That's just the first one would have been this, even though I should have known he wasn't in front of me. The first one was to see what was in front of me, because it would have been
fine.
instant.
I didn't,
and then the other two were just kind of like me clicking back and forth till I got the one I wanted.
Okay. One thing to note here is right here, like you said, you don't need ball camera off because you just beat everybody on the field. So you don't need to turn it off here. If you had kept ball camera on this entire time, you would have had a much smoother play here. The reason that leaving ball camera on consistently like this is better is because it gives you a stagnant point of reference. I know the ball is moving, but it stays in the same place on your screen. And so it gives you a better point of reference to read the ball. Your eyes on the ball the whole time. You're able to see what's happening with it exactly. You're able to see when you turn, what distance you're closing, what angle you're turning at compared to the ball. But with all this flickering back and forth, it becomes very difficult to know if you're going to be on the line with it, or if you can get around it or not, or what the fastest path to it becomes. The game becomes much smoother, and you become much more consistent when you're able to leave ball camera on for longer periods, because you're able to read the play more effectively, because again, you're looking at the same fluid motion rather than this choppiness back and forth. Because look what happens with your eyes as soon as you start flickering it, right? So right now, eyes are here, right? Right, so we're trying to keep our eye on the ball, and we just can't. So we can't really figure out what angle we need to get around this ball at. But if we leave the ball on our screen, we keep our eyes on it the whole time, we just move our car relative to the ball. Make sense?
Yeah.
And so to be completely honest with you, I think if you had left it on, you'd have realized right here that more important than anything at this moment is getting to the left. If you had landed and immediately gotten left, I think you could have shot the ball right here. Or, you know, like right here.
I think that time my thought process was just keep it away for the last 10 seconds, which always ends for me.
I mean, fair enough. Yeah, if your objective here is just to make sure you can keep the ball,
not hitting it to them would be a good idea.
Yeah, like then this jump might not be your best bet. So right here, your best option is boom. We touch this. We don't see anybody. Who's gonna make it clear here? If anybody hits it, they're hitting to their own side. So let them come. Let them hit it. Just stay in a position to where you can follow any hit they would get, or if they never come, put yourself in a position to take a shot. But I think you kind of rush yourself there when you don't need to. That's the game. We'll take that. We'll take that. We'll take that. Love is like a circle. It's not like a triangle. It's like a circle.